Hare Krishna. So welcome once again to Iskcon Toronto Sunday Feast program, and I appreciate you all coming despite the inclement weather. I think it shows your dedication and commitment to service of Lord Krishna. Very much appreciated. But those of you who are not familiar with the program, what we just did was first of all glorify Shri Vrindavan, then we offered our obeisances to Guru Parampara, and then we offered our prayers to the Gurus, the Parampara, and God Hritai, Radha Krishna, and Jagannath Balasubhadra. Hare Krishna. Very good. Can you all hear me in the back? Okay. So as I look around, I see a lot of new faces, but I see almost everyone, there may be some exception, maybe a couple of exceptions, that we all came here as a visitor or as an immigrant, became immigrant, maybe some citizen now. But we all came in that way. We left where we were. We left the security of being with our parents, maybe, with our neighbors, people we have known all our life. And suddenly we found ourselves in a country that we don't know very well. Those of you, by the way, who has been here for less than 2-3 years? Just raise your hand, just so I get an idea. A lot of you, okay. I came here 54 years ago, almost 54 years ago. It was a different country at that time. The major problem was there was no internet those days, there was no TV to speak of those days. So we didn't know nothing. We don't know anything about Canada. All I knew was that it's a country north of America. That's it. I happened to get a scholarship to do my master's in electrical engineering. That's why I came here. And found myself in the middle of people who were speaking English. I was speaking English, but I did not understand their English, but they did not understand mine. To them, every Indian looked the same. To me, every white-faced person looked the same. And we took it from there. So my point is, there were a few challenges. Now, some of you may not face similar challenges because of so much information about the whole world now available, and suddenly English became the main language in India. And when I was living there, very few people spoke English. And so challenges were different. Anyway, my point is that we came from what was a secure place to a place we were not very familiar with, which gives its own challenges of different kinds. It could be financial challenges, it could be social challenges, it could be mental challenges, any kind of challenges, but challenges are there. And when we face those kind of challenges in a foreign environment, it can having a scary experience. And we want to look for support system. When I came, I didn't know anybody. Like, nobody that I knew was here. So there was nobody I could go to say, hey, I have this problem or that problem. Some of you may still be in a similar situation that you came here knowing anybody, knowing nobody in the country, and you are on your own. So the point of the discourse today is going to be, we are not that alone. Yes, we're indeed in a foreign country in more ways than one. Canada is foreign to us. You know, it's funny, I've been here 54 years, it still is not the same as back home. Something missing. And it will never be there. It will never be the same. As much as I love Canada, that's why I'm here for all these years, but it's not home. Something is missing. Which I get as soon as I land in India, despite all the problems. You know, the dust, the climate, sometimes with the people and the way they interact and everything. Very different, very hard to deal with, but it's home. This is not home. The reason I'm saying all this is we're also living not in home in a different way. This material world is not home. We've come from a spiritual world where we were there with our Father in a very secure, protected environment. And we were very happy serving our Father, our Master. And suddenly we developed this desire to not serve, but be served instead. To not give enjoyment, but to enjoy instead. We got pushed into this place that's not native to us. This foreign world for us. This world we live in is foreign. So therefore, we all go through some very scary experiences. We all go through challenges we don't know how to deal with. And sometimes we don't know whom to turn to. And that's a lonely feeling. That's why a lot of times we see people who are actually very rich, very powerful, very famous, very beautiful, and they go through these bouts of depression. We hear about these very famous people committing suicide. They couldn't take it anymore, despite all that money, all that fame, all that beauty, all that power they have. So obviously there's something missing. And what's missing is that connection that we have forgotten with our Father. So Lord Krishna tells us in Bhagavad Gita. Everyone has heard Bhagavad Gita? Anybody who doesn't know what Bhagavad Gita is? Okay. Bhagavad Gita basically is a dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. When Arjuna was totally confused about what his duty is. What should he do? How should he handle the situation where his cousins, his uncles, his grandfather, his teachers are standing in front of him ready to kill him. And he has two choices, to kill them or be killed. And he said, maybe I have a third option, to run away. But he said, I don't know what to do. He said, my dear Krishna, you tell me. And that whole dialogue is Bhagavad Gita. It's part of a book called Mahabharata. Anyway, in that book, Krishna tells Arjuna, in chapter 14, text 4, he says, Sarva Yogishi Kunteya, Murtiya Sambhavantiya, Tasam Brahma Mahatyoni, Aham Bij Pradapita. He said, I am the seed-giving father of all living entities. Everyone. Now some of you may know that there are 8.4 million different types of species, different types of bodies. For example, 900,000 aquatics, water creatures, 1.1 million types of trees, 3 million insects, 400,000 different bodies of human beings. I'm not talking about population, I'm talking about different types, different species. So total is 8.4 million different species. Krishna is saying, it doesn't matter what species you are born in, I'm your seed-giving father. And then he goes one step further in chapter 9, text 17. He says, Pitaham asujagatasya mata dhata pitama. He says, I'm the father of everyone in this world. I'm also the mother. I'm also the maintainer, and I'm also the grandfather. What does that mean? That means that as a grandfather, what's the role of a grandfather? Just love the grandchildren. That's all they do. Love them, spoil them, get the children angry because they're spoiling their children. But that's what they do. Krishna saying, that's my nature too. All I know is how to love you. Mothers, very soft, very soft. Dhata basically means I, the one who takes care of the baby. Very soft, very loving. Krishna saying, I am that person. I'm a very loving father. I love you all no matter who you are. And then he says, but I am very unhappy. Krishna is saying that. And that is the 15th chapter, text 7. It says, Mameva ansho jivaloke, jiva buddha sanatana, manashasthani indriyani, prakriti sthani krishna. He's saying that every one of you is my part. Part in the sense that, for example, you take a brick of gold and you cut a little piece of it, let's say to make an earring. That little part that's going to become an earring is part of that big brick. And that's how we are part of Krishna. Similarly, you can think of, go to an ocean and take a spoonful of water. The water in the spoon is part of that ocean, same qualities. Right? Gold is going to become earring, same qualities as the brick it came from. Right? So the reason he's pointing it out is saying, therefore you all have the same qualities as I do. That's his point in the first line. He's saying, you all have the same qualities as I do, and my quality is that I am always happy. Satchidananda. I'm always happy, Krishna is saying. Therefore you should always be happy. That is Krishna's hope, that is Krishna's expectation. But then he looks around and he says, in this world nobody is happy. And he's saying, Manashasthani indriyani, prakriti sthani. He says the reason they are not happy is that they have become so immersed in the material nature, in the material world itself. Something called Maya, which is the external potency of Krishna, whose job it is to keep you here away from Krishna. So now something very interesting happens. Now it's like we have left home and come to this foreign country, a foreign world, where we don't know what we are doing, and because we left that connection with our Father, we don't know who to turn to. As a result, we are very unhappy. However, just like Krishna's nature is to always be happy, it is our nature to always be happy, but we have forgotten how to be happy. And that's the struggle we are having. We think if you get more money, we'll be happy. We think if you have more power, we'll be happy. We think if you're more beautiful than we are, we'll be happy. And so on, so we can think of any attributes. But then we find that no, when we get that, we are not happy. And basically our situation becomes like that of a puppy. So there was a puppy who was just dancing around, like running like this, spinning basically, like in one spot. And very soon he got dizzy and fell down. His mother came and said, what were you doing? Why were you spinning like that? And the puppy said, I heard that my happiness lies on the tip of my tail. I was chasing the tip of my tail. And that's what my dear devotees we are doing. We run to one spot thinking, oh, this money make me happy. We find out we have money now, but we're not happy. No, wait a minute, the other corner, that is power. It's not there. We get the power, we find even less happy. Then we run to something else, and something else. Just running around like crazy. And we're going crazy, running around like crazy. So we're working 18 hours a day, 20 hours a day, working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, studying and working, all sorts of things. We're finding we're not happy. So then we say, okay, need help. And Krishna says, I'm here. I'm here to help. Krishna says, I am your protector. I am your maintainer. I am your loving Father. I'll do anything for you. And he says, whether you deserve it or not, I'll make It's like a father. We have children who are really nice children, they listen to the father, their values are consistent with the father's values, and some just rebel. No, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to run away. I'm going to do drugs. I'm going to do drinks, this and that, and all those kind of things. I'm not going to study. What are you going to do? Father still loves that child. Father still gives them food. So Krishna is saying, it doesn't matter whether you know me, whether you believe in me, whether you serve me, or you just run away from me. I'm going to make sure I provide for you. I'll provide for anybody and everybody. I mean, Krishna provides for the birds, the bees, the animals, the trees. Provides them all. They all have food. They all have some kind of shelter. Whether we are always getting drunk, going to drugs, whether we are stealing and robbing, Krishna is still providing. Whether we're lazy, don't do any work, Krishna is still providing. So He'll provide no matter who you are. But this difference that we will talk about in a minute. So Krishna will maintain us. We should have that faith that no matter what, if Krishna can do this for all these animals and birds and people who are so bad people, I'm not a bad person. Why would Krishna not provide for me? So that's number one, faith, and we'll come back to that point. The second point is Krishna says, I am your protector. As a matter of fact, in again Bhagavad Gita, he says, Sarva Loka Maheshwara, Bhoktaram Jagatam Sam Sarva Loka Maheshwara. It says, I am the supreme controller and therefore protector of everyone. And then he says, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. Says, I'm also the well-wishing friend of everyone, no matter who you are. So now you combine the two things. I'm the supreme protector and I'm the supreme well-wisher of all of you. That means only good things can come from it. And there are many, many examples. For example, in terms of protection, I'm sure some of you at least have heard the name Prahlad Maharaj. His father, Hiranyakashipu, was a demon who did not want him to chant Krishna's name and was ready to kill him. But every time he tried to kill him, Krishna protected him. Now we can say, well, Prahlad was a very advanced devotee, we're not advanced devotee. Will he still protect us? Yes, he will, and I'm going to share a very personal example with you of that. So as I said, I came in 1969. In 1970, 1 year after I came here, I applied for permanent residence. In those days, all you did was apply, that's it. In 6 weeks, you get it. So I applied, I was still a student. I applied, and 6 weeks later, I got a letter saying, please come and produce, in those days, what was called a no obligation certificate, which meant I don't owe money to the government of India, I've not signed a bond to say I work for them, anything like that. Just say I'm free to migrate. So I called my brother, who was 17 years old at that time, I said, please arrange for this. 1 month went by, nothing. So I called him again, he said, I'm trying very hard. Another month went by, called him again, he said, I'm trying very hard. I got a letter from the immigration department. You have 3 months to produce, otherwise you will go back as soon as you finish your degree. Now I'm panicking. So I'm calling my brother again and again. He called me that guy was a older brother. That I'm trying very hard, I'm going wherever I can, whatever I can do. Nobody's cooperating. Time goes by, I get another letter. 6 weeks, or you have to go back. I'm really panicking now. What to do? So I'm telling my friends, anyway, I call my brother and says, I'm really trying, nobody's saying yes. 6th week, the last day of the 6th week, I'm saying, okay, I'm done. Canada, goodbye. I get a letter in the mail, my certificate is there. So of course I go running to the office, give them the certificate, I get my PR. And I'm sitting back saying, oh, my brother succeeded. So I called him. He said, no, everybody said no to me, I did not get it. I'm saying, what happened here? I still don't know exactly what happened, but apparently I'd gone to an Indian students get together. Some Indian professors were there at that time. I was telling somebody about my situation. And apparently one professor heard my story. They called somebody they knew, did not know me very well, just knew my name, told them some certificate, and they sent it. Now you tell me, does Krishna's hand, whose hand it is? Who was protecting me at that time? So my point is, all we need is to have the faith that Krishna will protect me. All I have to do is think of him, remember him, chant his name. And I'll come back to that point again. Maintenance. As I was saying, Krishna makes sure he provides for everyone. I'm going to share a story with you. There was a fisherman. He was fishing and selling them and eating them and making his living that way in a family. But the problem was that everybody in that village was going to the same spot in that ocean that was there, fishing from the same area. So there were not that many fish, and there were too many fishermen selling to the same number of clients. There was no income. So it came to a point where he said, I cannot survive. I have to move, to go home. So he heard about the king who had a huge pond inside his palace. And it was full of very beautiful, nice fish. But nobody was allowed to fish there, for obvious reasons. And he said, well, one day I'll sneak in and I'll fish there. I'll come out before somebody finds out. So one day he went there early in the morning and threw his net to catch the fish and sat down. As soon as he threw the net, he heard a sound. It looked like horses coming this way. And then he realized that the king was coming this way. So you can imagine the panic, because he knew I was not allowed. He'd probably get killed, hanged or something. So he pulled his net out, hid everything under the mud there, and he put mud all over his body and matted his hair really quickly and sat there saying, Ram, 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 Ram. And the king came. He saw this man, he said, got off his horse, he says, Babaji, Babaji's there, chanting Ram's name. Babaji, how are you? He said, Bacha is a little child. Ram, Ram, say Ram, Ram. And then he blessed the king. May you become bigger king, may you have a good family, may you become good devotee. Nice blessings. So the king was very pleased. He said, Baba, thank you very much. And before you go, I'm going to give you some. So he gave him 5 bags of gold coins. 5 bags of gold coins. Babaji, fake Babaji, very happy. He came home. But he sat down and he said, hold on. I need to understand something. I was a fake Babaji. I was a fake devotee. My faith was not in the holy name of Ram, but I was chanting the name of Ram anyway. And the result of that was I get 5 bags of gold coins. So what will happen if I actually chant sincerely Ram's name? And he gave up everything. He went to Ayodhya, the birthplace of Lord Ram, and started chanting and became very famous. Ram Charan Das Babaji, very famous devotee in Ayodhya. But originally he was a fisherman and had his introduction. The point of my story is whether we chant sincerely or we just chant offensively without focusing on the holy name of the Lord becomes very pleased simply because by chanting you are remembering Him. So imagine, as Nanda Das Baba was thinking, what happens if you are doing those things. So actually there are 3 types of chanting that we can do. Actually we all go through those 3 stages. One is chanting offensively, which means you're chanting but you're thinking something else. You're chanting but thinking about your homework of a student, or your work if you're working somewhere, or a project, or whatever. You're criticizing people, you're not very serious about studying the scriptures. Those are offensive ways of chanting and thinking about all these things as you chant. Then as you chant, you move to the next stage, which is called Namamah stage, which means you're kind of not committing offenses, but you're not pure yet. And the final stage is that you're purely chanting. So what happens? When we are chanting in an offensive manner, by the way, I think most of us are on that stage. Because our mind is running around everywhere. Is there anybody here who's never criticized anybody? Just raise your hand. Anybody? Okay, one person. Congratulations, you are pure. Very, very few people have never criticized somebody. Why? Because it's fun. It's fun to criticize other people. And telephone companies make their billions because people love to pick up the phone and talk about somebody else. But unfortunately, that's a very offensive thing. Krishna doesn't like that. Because remember, Krishna loves everybody. How would you like if I went to you and criticized somebody you love the most? You won't like it. Similarly, Krishna doesn't like it. So it becomes an offensive thing. So my point is, we're all in that stage. But Krishna says it's okay. Because you're chanting, second thing, and we all have material desires. Almost, maybe Mataji is not there, but almost everybody has some kind of a desire. I want more money, I want to get a job, I want to get married, I want to have children, I want a bigger house, bigger car, or whatever. Some kind of material desire is there. So therefore, the chanting is not good. But Krishna says it's okay. Even if you're chanting my name with some material desires, I will fulfill them. So just coming back again, if you're new to the country, you have desires, but maybe you don't have a good enough job yet because you don't have the seniority, or you're still a student, you're not getting a scholarship, and getting money is an issue. Hey, pray to Krishna. Let him take care of it. Then we go to the next stage, where we are not offensive anymore, but not pure. It's just, you want liberation, you get liberation. The final stage is pure stage, where Krishna says, now I have got you, I love you, you love me, now you come with me, to me, in the place you actually originally came from. So now you're back in the secure environment, doing what you were doing before you came here. Now, so that's those three stages. In all those stages, Krishna says, I promise to maintain you, and I'll continue to do that. And I'm going to share a couple of stories with you on that. There was before I go there, there's a verse that Krishna gives assurance about maintaining everyone. It's chapter 9, text 22. He says, Ananyashchintantoma ye jana paripasate tesham nitya bhaktanam yog kshemam bahami. He's saying, I'll provide you with what you don't have, and I'll preserve and protect what you already have. So you're safe both ways. Not going to lose what you have, and what you need, I will provide. That's Krishna's promise. So it's along those lines I'm going to tell you a story. There was a devotee. He was very famous for studying Gita all the time. And that's all he did. He had 2 children and a wife, didn't worry too much about them, and he just sit there and study. And this particular verse was his favorite verse. He'll always be looking at that. So sometimes his wife will go to him and say, Mister, you got to make some money. You got 2 children, you got to take care of them, you got to feed them, you got to clothe them, you got to send them to school, you have bills to pay. So do some work. And whenever she complained, he'll open Bhagavad Gita, point to the steps saying, Krishna says he'll take care of me. I'll preserve what I have, and I'll provide what I don't have, so don't worry. And day after day, week after week, month after month, she was hearing the same answer. In the meantime, kids were starving, they had nothing. They really had nothing. So one day she got really angry. And he showed this verse to her. She took a pen, a red pen, and crossed out that verse. And angrily stomped down to the main floor. This man was very unhappy, sad. So he said, I'm going to go to the river, take a bath, and I'll come back. So he left her. A few minutes later, as she was sitting in the kitchen crying, not knowing what to do, there was a knock on the door. She opened, thinking it might be her husband. There were 2 boys, a black boy and a white boy, standing there with sacks on their back. And they said, your husband's friend has sent all this material to deliver to you. She said, oh, come on in. She noticed all sorts of grains and vegetables, all sorts of things you can imagine. They were there in those sacks. So she was very happy. And she said, my dear children, why don't you stay for a few minutes? I'll cook and have some prashadam before you go. And they said, no. One said, my back has been cut with the whip marks, and another said, my lips have been cut with a blade, so we can't eat, so we have to go. So they left. Sometime later, the husband came, and the wife was very happy, and she said, "Thank you so much, finally you got some arrangements." I said, "What arrangements?" So she described. And he said, "No, that was Krishna and Balaram who came just to prove the point I've been making to you all this time, that they will provide." And they started crying. They lived in Jagannath Puri, so they said, "Let's go immediately to the temple for our obeisances." In those days, you could go very close to the deities. Now, you can't do that now. So they went there, they offered their obeisances, and then they looked, the lips of Lord Jagannath were cut, the blood coming out. And she realized that is from her scratching that verse off. So once again, the point is, Krishna is assuring that he will provide. All you need to do is have faith. If you have faith, Krishna is the kind of personality who will not break your faith. Again, so many stories in our scriptures, so many stories in our practical life experiences where Krishna says, "I will not break the faith." So with that faith, when we chant, Krishna says, "I will be actually present with you when you're chanting." So imagine chanting Krishna's name, Krishna is sitting with you, and because chanting so nicely, suddenly he becomes overwhelmed with love for you, and he gives you a hug. Is there anybody here who would like a hug from Krishna directly? Raise your hand, let me see how many people. Most of you, but not all of you. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Perhaps, well, whatever, I'm sure you have your reasons, I don't want to get to that, but that's very interesting that some of us don't care for that. And I guess Krishna recognizes that not everybody would love him. But he's a father. I do not care if you love me or not. I don't care if you care for me or not. I'm going to love you anyway. So what does Krishna do? He says, I'll provide some guidance through his scriptures, through the spiritual master, through senior devotees who will tell you what's the right thing to do. I will protect you, sometimes by actually coming down to this material world. It's called incarnations of Krishna. Krishna comes in Lord Ram, Lord Nrsimhadev, Lord Kurma, billions and trillions of incarnations of Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita it says, Paitranaya Sadhanam Nasham Krishna. It says, just to protect the devotees, I'll appear again and again and again. Because it says, I care. I don't want to see my children hurt. So I'll come and protect them personally. That's what I need to do. But he's saying, all I'm looking for is just one thing. One thing and one thing alone. And that is, you remember me, you become my devotee. There's a very famous verse in Bhagavad Gita. It's actually repeated. So it's said twice. Man mana bhavavanto madhyaji ma manasya. He's saying that think of me all the time. Become my devotee. Offer me obeisances and worship. 4 things. Now, you say, well, how can I think of him all the time? I'm working, I'm studying, things like that. Yeah, that is true. But before you start your cycle, you can chant Krishna's name. When you wake up, you can chant Krishna's name. Whatever you're doing, you can say, this is Krishna's plan for me to execute. So I'm doing what Krishna wants me to do. Whether you're a student or you're working some kind of place, whatever you're doing, this is what Krishna wants me to do. It's Krishna's plan, I'm executing it. Therefore, the results are up to him, but my job is simply to just do whatever he asks me to do. You're thinking of him all the time. Become his devotee. Become his devotee simply means that, my dear Lord Krishna, I accept that I'm your eternal servant. My role is to serve you all the time, and that's all I want to do. Somebody can be chanting his name, somebody can be just looking at him, somebody can be doing arati for him, somebody can be offering bhoga to him. It can be anything, but I want to serve you. Mam Namasudra. Basically that means that I offer you obeisances in that I consider you the most respected personality anywhere. And therefore I offer you my obeisances. Namaste means I bow down to you. Nama means to bow down. Te means to you. So basically says, I bow down to you because I respect you and I surrender to you. You will not bow down to somebody you don't surrender to. So therefore you say, my dear Lord, I surrender to you. And Krishna says, you surrender to me, I surrender to you by taking care of you. That's Krishna's philosophy. Whichever way you serve him, they'll serve you back the same way. You surrender to Krishna, Krishna says, I surrender to you by taking care of you. So it's very simple. All we have to do is chant Krishna's name. Even if it is offensively, even if you're thinking about other things, even if you're still criticizing everybody else, it doesn't matter. Let's continue to chant Krishna's name. And Krishna says, chanting Krishna's name will give you taste for chanting Krishna's name, which will purify your chanting, and therefore you will come to me. So all we need to do is chant Krishna's name whenever, wherever we can. There are no restrictions. You can actually be in the washroom, chant his name. When you're in a bus, when you're in a car, when you're walking, when you're at work, at school, it doesn't matter. There are no restrictions. Anyone, anywhere can chant anytime. That's very simple. Please join me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And that's all it takes, my devotees. If we can just continue to do that, remember to do this all the time, whenever we can, not all the time. That's all it takes. Krishna said, I have your back. You don't need to panic anymore. No longer have to protect you because you are your daddy, me. I'll protect you, I'll hold your hand, I'll guide you, I'll take care of you, I will not let you down, I will not let you into trouble. Whenever you're in trouble, I'll be sure. So if you believe that promise, let's chant Krishna's name whenever, wherever we can, and feel the mercy. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful speech and accepting our invitation in your busy schedule. Please give a big round of applause for Rubanuga Prabhuji for the wonderful class. Today's feast is cooked by Aditi Mataji, Bhadra Krishna Prabhu, Radha Vinod Prabhu. You can also sponsor a feast or deity garlands to celebrate any occasion, any personal occasion. Please see devotee at the front desk for more information. Today's feast is sponsored by two anonymous devotees. One turned 65, the other one also had the birthday. So big round of applause for those two devotees. And let's thank 3 times for these sponsors. Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Please note that the prasadam is only permitted on the main floor and finishes by 8 p.m.